Security stepped up as residents remain on edge in Jerusalem, one day after a deadly attack on a synagogue.
Tensions escalate once more after Hong Kong's pro-democracy protesters break into a government building.
Valuable clues in the search for the origins of life on Earth. The Rosetta probe detects organic molecules in the comet's atmosphere.
Jerusalem, a city on edge. Security was tight on Wednesday morning, one day after 4 rabbis and a policeman were crudely killed in a deadly attack on a synagogue. It was carried out by 2 Palestinian cousins armed with a gun, knives and a meat cleaver. 24 hours later, worshippers returned to the synagogue in the ultra-Orthodox Jewish neighborhood of Har Nof in West Jerusalem. Tuesday's attack was the worst in the city since 2008, when a Palestinian gunman killed 8 people at a religious school. Israel's ambulance service said at least 8 people were seriously wounded in the attack. The militant Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine said it carried out the attack, calling it a heroic operation. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas strongly condemned the attack. Unrest has grown since the 50-day Israeli war on Gaza and the movement of dozens of Jewish settlers into a predominantly Arab neighborhood in East Jerusalem in recent weeks. A push by militant Jews to be allowed to pray at a site in the old city that is holy to both Jews and Muslims, in defiance of a decades-long ban agreed by Israel, has also fueled anger.
Spanish MPs have urged their government to recognize the Palestinian state. The non-binding resolution presented by the Socialists won the backing of all political groups of the lower house and will only ask for recognition when the Palestinians and Israel negotiate a solution to their long-running conflict. The Spanish Parliament unanimously believed that the recognition of the Palestinian state is the best contribution we can make to achieve peace. This message should be understood as a decision that doesn't go against anything or anyone. The vote reflects the growing impatience in Europe for a solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, heightened after this summer's 50-day war in Gaza. British and Irish MPs voted for a similar symbolic motion in October, while French lawmakers will vote on a proposal on November 28th. The Swedish government went one step further and became the first EU country to officially recognize the Palestinian state, bringing the total number of countries which recognize Palestine to 135.
The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has told the country's parliament that Moscow and the European Union need to resume cooperation. He also expressed disappointment that Russia had been demonized by the US and Western powers. The current negative trend in global affairs is not our choice, he said. There's no real alternative to a mutually beneficial and equal cooperation between Russia and the European Union. Too much binds us together. The downgrading of the level of cooperation between Russia and its Western partners, without doubt, has multi-level consequences, which are not just limited to the economic field. Yesterday, the German foreign minister in Moscow said there was not much reason for optimism in the standoff between Russia and Ukraine, and called for the September ceasefire signed in the Belarusian capital Minsk to be implemented.
Hong Kong protesters break into the city's legislative building before police arrive to stop them. Tensions have once again escalated following a period of calm. Last week an injunction was issued forbidding street barricades and ordering the dismantling of all but their main protest site. The glass was broken because the government refuses to listen to us. Through the action of charging, we want to let the government know that they're behind the glass and we have to deliver our voices inside. When they refuse to respond, it's entirely their own fault. Protesters have been occupying areas of the city for more than 7 weeks, demanding open nominations for Hong Kong's chief executive elections in 2017. China, which owns the territory, is insisting on screening candidates.
Iran has said it would resist Western pressure to make what it considered to be excessive concessions in nuclear talks in Vienna. Negotiators from Tehran and 6 world powers are pushing to end a 12-year dispute over Iran's nuclear program. The talks aim to reach a settlement that would curb Iranian atomic activities in return for the phasing out of sanctions, but officials admitted that the November 24th deadline is unlikely to be met. France, China, Russia, Germany, the United States and Britain want Iran to scale back its capacity to refine uranium to prevent the production of a nuclear bomb, a key concern of neighboring power Israel. Tehran says that it's enriching uranium to make fuel for nuclear power plants. Iran's negotiators said any solution must respect Iran's rights, as well as allay the concerns of the international community. The Rosetta probe has managed to detect organic molecules in the comet's atmosphere before it ran out of power. The Philae lander instrument sniffed the compounds which are believed to contain the carbon element that is the basis of life on Earth, though the principal investigator said they were still working to interpret the results. Comets date back to the formation of the solar system and have preserved ancient organic molecules like a time capsule. The European Space Agency craft landed on the comet on November 12th after a 10-year-long journey. Scientists raced to perform as many experiments as possible before it lost power at the weekend. They remain hopeful that as the comet approaches the sun in the coming months, Philae's solar panels will recharge and they can take up where they left off in the search for the origins of life on Earth.
The United States Senate has rejected a bill which would allow a controversial Canada to Texas oil pipeline to be completed. The Keystone XL pipeline is at the center of a fierce environmental dispute. President Obama had opposed the legislation and was widely expected to veto it if passed.